the scenario that Safire Reed expected to find herself in tonight. If you remember last week in London, we had 3 qualifying matches for what was going to be a triple threat #1 contenders match to conclude this mini tournament. But Nina Samuels, a fellow member of Cutthroat Collective, despite winning last week, out injured. So that 2-on-1 advantage in this 3-way match that CTC would have effectively had has been neutralized.
Representing the Cutthroat Collective, Safire Reed!
And you could make the argument this is the biggest match of Safire Reed's young career.
And an even bigger one waiting if she can secure the victory and become the #1 contender. Well, it is time for this woman to put her money where her mouth is. After Kanji failed to dethrone Mercedes Mone at high stakes, Emersyn Jayne said that Kanji had let down the entire women's division. Well, Jayne, if she wins here, will be the next to challenge Mercedes Mone.
Well, she'll have the opportunity to put her money where her mouth is, won't she?
Exactly right. 100%.
She is the badass Emersyn Jayne!
Kanji, who many expected might have won this #1 contenders tournament, was unexpectedly beaten by Safire Reed. One of those opening round matches last week. Emersyn Jayne, for her part, defeated another member of the Cutthroat Collective in Lizzie Evo. And interesting that there's a lot of support for Safire Reed here. Reed's had well-documented problems with the other members of the Cutthroat Collective as of late, who don't think that she has that killer instinct, maybe, that is required in the CTC. Well, she's going to get a chance to show that instinct here. And if she doesn't have it, Emersyn Jayne will make light work of her, I expect. Showed plenty of signs of it, though, last week in that win against Kanji, did Safire Reed.
What was very interesting was in her post-match comments as well, when she said something along the lines of, "I just want to show you I'm not a mess-up anymore."
She's far from a mess-up. Anyone who can get a win over Kanji is just one step away now from becoming the #1 contender for the Undisputed British Women's Championship, as these 2 women trying to gain the upper hand. Early moments here, they collided with each other there, double shoulder block. A little bit of sign language from Safire Reed, responded in the same manner by Emersyn Jayne. Shoulder block. Jayne Reed comes back off the ropes. It's a shoulder block of her own, and that was enough to take Jayne down. May have hurt the left shoulder as well. You can see Jayne just trying to shake some feeling back into that left arm. Reed off the snap, shoulder block. This time it's Jayne who gets the shoulder block to take her opponent off their feet, and in fact gets the shoulders down. Reed trying to counter, both women trying to counter each other into pinning situations here. Both women would like to try and take their opponent by surprise if they can, get the job done early. Now Jayne's going to look for the backslide, drops to her knees, gets that split-legged stance for extra leverage, but Reed still kicked out. Pushing against each other to get back to their feet, still with their arms interlocked here, Reed and Jayne. Only one can be the #1 contender. Sunset flip, position, pin. Double shoulder block. This time they both go down, and Jayne with a look of surprise, and I think maybe looked slightly impressed there with Reed.
It's going to be interesting to see the tack that both these 2 women take in this contest, isn't it? Because neither woman is known for their love of the rules.
And again, though, it does completely change the dynamic here. The fact that Nina Samuels has not been medically cleared after her win against Danny Luna last week means that it's not a 3-way match, it's a singles match now. No other members of the CTC out here with Safire Reed. Would have been a real difficult problem for Emersyn Jayne to solve had Samuels been in this. Does maybe make things potentially slightly more achievable for Emersyn Jayne, but not if Safire Reid is on the same kind of form she was on 1 week ago in London, and she's once more showing signs of that. There's
wow.
Running into Guri, right to the back of the head of Jayne.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to see that the rest of the Cutthroat Collective conspicuous by their absence today.
Reid just diving through the ropes, feet first, making connection there with her opponent.
Both these women want to be called the #1 contender to the Undisputed British Women's Championship.
Reid just forcing Jayne back into the ring. Not wanting to give her any respite. She's going to try and go for the pin. Got a 2 count out of it, but I think the calculation there was she gave her a time to see if she'd get counted out. It would give Emersyn Jayne a little too long to recover.
You've got to wonder if now might be an opportune time for one of these women to challenge Mercedes Mone after Mone came up short in her quest to become the AEW Women's Champion. Nice crossbody from Emersyn Jayne.
Kick out from Safire Reid. Yeah, what a match that was at All In last night in Texas.
Absolutely. Or will it just make the champion Mercedes Mone, will it just make her more dangerous?
Jayne with Reid on her shoulders. Reid was hitting the elbows. Jayne just shoved her away in the end. And Reid looking for the crossbody. It's the power of Emersyn Jayne.
Yeah, and stylistically, these women are so different, aren't they? They say styles make matches. As right now, Emersyn Jayne goes for a cover, hook of the leg, just a 2 count.
Just a neck breaker prior to that cover, and I think Reid did very well to kick out. Like a devastating move on the part of Emersyn Jayne. You can see, though, Reid has been rocked by that, just gasping for air. Now Jayne's going to go to the ropes. Jayne coming through feet first,
wow.
just like Reid did a couple of minutes ago.
That was pinpoint perfect from Emersyn Jayne, connecting straight to the skull of Safire Reid.
Real role reversal here. Now it's Jayne scooping Reid off the floor.
I think that was a case of anything you can do, I can do better there from Emersyn Jayne.
Jayne, though, took her out of the ball there temporarily. She tried to get back through the ropes.
Almost giving herself a proverbial pat on the back, wasn't she?
Pay for it, and a clothesline there from Reid. Jayne just rolling or kind of just dropping to the floor.
What a count out would do for Safire Reid right now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, win by any means necessary when it's #1 contendership tournament. She said a chance for Safire Reid to the biggest win of her career and the biggest opportunity of her career, be right up there for Emersyn Jayne in her career as well. She rolls in on a count of 7. The match is going to continue inside the ring.
I'd like to thank Gideon Gray for his input, texting me from his sick bed at home. Alleged sick bed.
Sick bed that Xander Bryant put him in. Grabbing of the nostrils there from Safire Reid. A bit of dirty play. You said that she had a fairly loose relationship with the rules, and you're seeing evidence of that here. Reid.
Wow, just stomping on the ankle of Emersyn Jayne there. Is Safire Reid.
You talk about that ruthlessness, the killer instinct that Cutthroat Collective want to see from Safire Reid. There's plenty to show here that she is showing lots of that tonight.
Well, Emersyn Jayne knows exactly what to expect, doesn't she? As last week she defeated fellow Cutthroat Collective member Lizzie Evo, and it seemed like there was still a lot of bad blood between Lizzie Evo and Emersyn Jayne. The conclusion of that contest, but we do know Safire Reid has specifically asked for the Cutthroat Collective to not be involved tonight, as we did see her sending CTC member Lizzie Evo to the back at the top of that contest with Kanji, and what a war of attrition that was.
And the cover attempt again from the kick to the head. Reid getting another 2 count here. And Reid, yeah, I think after, remember, she was responsible for a defeat for the CTC and tag team action alongside Evo a few weeks ago. She promised that she would do better. I think she wants to show that she can do it without any of the support of the other women at ringside. There's a big, though, backbreaker from Emersyn Jayne. Reid, though, not letting Jayne build on that. Got a knee right to the kidney area there. Jayne, that smarts from Jayne. That
Safire Reed listening to the crowd for too long, and it nearly cost her.
It's that experience deficit. Jayne using it to her advantage, a knee into the side of the head off the middle turnbuckle.
And of course, yeah, Emersyn Jayne, a very real deal. Former queen of the ring. She made a return to Revolution Pro Wrestling at the Rev Pro in-ring debut of Mercedes Mone at High Stakes 2025.
And it was just 1 week later in London when she made those, quite honestly, horrendous comments to Kanji.
And I think for Emersyn Jayne, it was almost a means to the end. She saw the biggest dog in the yard and she went for it.
Trying to lift up Reed there into maybe what would have been a German suplex. Reed goes to the ropes, Jayne follows her. Jayne now going behind, there is the German suplex.
What you can say about Emersyn Jayne is she's rebounded very well off that defeat by Kanji at York Hall Bethnal Green.
Yeah, what a piece now. Jayne's got a win over Kanji since her return as well.
Yeah, and Kanji and Jayne has made it very vocal that she wants to finish a trilogy, but she might have other obstacles in her course.
Very, very close there for Emersyn Jayne. You're right, it's entirely possible that by the time she gets that third match against Kanji, she could be the undisputed British Women's Champion if she keeps going about it this way.
I just had reassurance from Gideon that if the Bryants aren't anywhere near the next show, he may feel better.
They'll be there. Maybe he'll learn to be a little more controlled in the verbal diarrhea that spews from his mouth sometimes, Gideon Gray. Big clubbing blow to the lower back from Emersyn Jayne.
He almost born out of frustration where Safire Reed was doing such a good job of putting the brakes on. And again, evasive work from Safire Reed as she connects for a back body drop and follows up with a kick to the knee, a kick to the head.
Reed, great combo of kicks there.
Watch out!
Jayne grabbed the trunks there and Reed responding with another knee. Reed now. The ripcord. For the clothesline, Jayne, what a counter from Jayne. Emersyn Jayne picks her up.
Powerbomb.
With authority.
Stacks her up, and that was close.
Emersyn Jayne on what, 2 or 3 occasions now has been a split second away from becoming the #1 contender. Jayne, look at the glare, look at the focus. She stares down at Reed. Jayne gonna lift up Reed. We've seen this move before. She's trying that inverted pile driver. There's a counter from Reed into the cover. Side of the face. Reed now gets that ripcord lariat again, and the kick out from Emersyn Jayne. Kind of a war of attrition now. It's all about conditioning. It's all about desire. It's all about finding that extra gear. And again, the prize, a big one for whoever can win this. #1 contendership for that undisputed British Women's Championship held by Mercedes Mone. Another shot to the back of the head. Jayne gets that German suplex. Move that's been good to her in this match.
Nice reversal from Safire Reed, though, connects with one of her own.
Yeah, look at the angle on that one. It's almost on the top of the head, the impact on Emersyn Jayne.
I always say with these German suplexes, you have a choice. Oh, wow! Mixed it up. Did Emersyn Jayne. Half and half there from Emersyn. As Safire's in the corner, I always say you've got a choice between the bridge and trying to get the pin and the release and more impact. And thus far, these women have both gone for more impact. Waistlock takedown from Safire Reed, who's not done. Handful of hair on Emersyn Jayne, and now looking for a German.
Jayne moments before that was looking, I think, for the shadow fax, that running German suplex. Instead, she gets a dragon suplex and the knee into the side of the head. Reed may have been knocked silly. Jayne gets on top, and Reed, did she get, yeah, only just. That shoulder just about rolling up off the canvas. Anyone's game here with that #1 contendership on the line. Referee Chris Hatch again starting a count with both women down. Look at the condition of both of these two now. There's been quite the battle here this evening in Coventry between Safire Reed and Emersyn Jayne. Reed just couldn't get anything behind that strike. Jayne has got a little bit more behind it. Reed, second time of asking, a little bit more successful. They're both back up to their feet. These strikes, that's better now from Safire Reed. Takes Jayne down to a knee.
She needs to be careful because she just may have lit a fire in Emersyn Jayne.
That fire always threatening to ignite whenever Emersyn Jayne's in the ring. Jayne. Elbow. Perfectly struck by Jayne, but Reed follows up. It's the uppercut as Jayne didn't realize, I think, that Reed was following her to the ropes. Jayne getting the boot up. Reed tried to block it, but Jayne still got most of it. Kind of attempt from Reed. Again, I couldn't quite get everything behind that at this point in the match. Here comes Jayne off the second turnbuckle. Caught by Reed. Caught by Reed into the cutter.
And Safire Reed's not done. You can see a sense of urgency from Reed.
And the springboard cutter that time from Safire Reed. Kick out from Jayne. I thought Safire Reed had done enough to become the #1 contender, but Jayne's still in it. Now what if you're Safire Reed? Bringing out the big guns here, and yet Emersyn Jayne is still in it. Reed, what's she doing? Reed is, I think, thinking about heading up to the top turnbuckle. Gonna have to be quick about it if she's going to, because Jayne is fairly rapidly getting back to her feet, and she wasn't quick enough. When you're this exhausted, the thought patterns are a little bit slower. Reed couldn't quite decide, it felt like, whether she wanted to go up top or not, and by the time she'd made the decision, Jayne was ready to roll.
Well, both these women leaving it in the ring, and I'm very impressed and very pleased with how they've decided to conduct themselves in this contest. And I think when you talk about the prestige of the Undisputed British Women's Championship...
Wait, what is this? What is this?
Oh, what a Spanish fly!
The Spanish fly from Emersyn Jayne.
She didn't let go, did she?
Jayne hooks one leg, hooks another, gets the pile driver on the back of the neck, and it's a kick out! A kick out from Reed! Safire Reed somehow survives. The Spanish fly, the pile driver, and yet Safire Reed has not yet been beaten. Jayne pointing to the corner and put the boot in there into the midsection of Reed. Reed is up. Jayne doesn't realize.
Yeah, she went up to the ring with a real sense of purpose there, didn't she? But she's been caught. Back elbow from Emersyn Jayne. Now taking herself to the top. She can see Safire Reed, and she can see the approaching Safire Reed, who turned her inside out.
The Shining Wizard from Safire Reed. Reed, no!
How much closer can you get to winning a professional wrestling match?
Well, the look on the face of Safire Reed tells the story. I think it's an emotion shared by everyone in the building. Disbelief here that Jayne kicked out. Both women have had moments in the last couple of minutes where you can't quite understand how either of them were able to survive. Reed, this was the kick. There's the low German suplex from Jayne. A knee right to the back of the head. Right to the back of the head of Jayne.
And Safire Reed got her, Dave. Safire Reed is the #1 contender to the Undisputed British Women's Championship.
Here is your winner and the #1 contender for the Undisputed British Women's Championship, Safire.
Watching Mercedes Mone, because Safire Reed has just become the #1 contender for the championship that Mone holds.
Well, Dave, I think perhaps the most important thing, aside from the fact that when you're looking at your new #1 contender, is the fact that Safire Reed did it all on her own.
And when you think Reed felt just a few weeks ago as though she might have been close to being cast out of the Cutthroat Collective, but now she might be the one. She's one win away from being the woman who brings the undisputed British women's title to the Cutthroat Collective.
Big win for Safire Reed here in the HMV Empire Coventry, as Reed has her sights firmly set on championship gold.